Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. Town of Farmington Inland Wetlands Commission for May 20th. I'll ask Bruce to call the roll, please.
All right. Ed Statchin,
Here.
Robert Eisner,
Here.
David Fox,
Here.
Rich Berlandy,
Here.
Daniel Popovic, Andre Simons, Mark Simpson,
Here.
Elena Carveth,
Here.
Francis Roth.
Present.
Okay, for the record, we will seat, who was our first one?
Elena.
Elena for Andre and Frank for Dan. Just since I know we have a lot of people here for the public hearing, but on our agenda, we have two normal items that we're going to hear first, go through those. It shouldn't take too long. And then we'll open the public hearing. For the public hearing, the applicant will do presentation first. Then the intervener will also do a presentation. We will ask questions and then will be public comment at that point. Okay, first time on the agenda, 109 Waterside Lane.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully this is the last time you have to see me. This is just a follow-up. The application was accepted for building the patio in the back of our house. Just as a reminder, the house itself is in West Hartford. The backyard is all Farmington. We're up against Woodridge Lake. There's been no design changes. To go over it fresh. I think everybody was here last time, but just as a quick refresher, we're adding about 500 square feet of patio, and we're putting in rain gardens to help with any drainage issues or erosion issues on the lake side of the patio. There's about 55-ish feet from the end of the patio to the lake, and the grade of the hill actually goes back towards the house, not towards the lake. There will be no trees removed, and it's otherwise nothing else has changed. There's been no changes to the plans or anything like that. I think I covered most of it.
Okay. Are you going to need any erosion control?
We're going to put some hay bales just for the actual placement of the patio, but after that, no, I don't think so.
And the rain garden, does that have a runoff?
It runs off towards the house, and there's French drains at the house, so it spills going towards the street away from the lake already. We're just using the existing, we're not adding anything new except for the rain garden. We'll use the existing drainage.
Okay. We'll poll the commissioners if they have any questions. We did accept this application at the previous meeting. So we'll start with Rich.
I have no questions.
Robert Eisner.
Actually, I have a question for Bruce on the recommended items for consideration for the motion. The final design of the rain garden, is that still pending, or do we actually have a final design?
No, I don't have a final design. All I have is the area. The applicant mentioned that they were working with Yukon Co-op to kind of come up with a plan. So all I said is prior to do it, let's make sure. All I care about is depth and volume. And
okay, thanks. And as the applicant, you would be agreeable to working with staff on the final design of the rain garden?
Sure, yeah. That we actually tapped Yukon for standard depths and plant types. There's a University of New Hampshire guide for types of plants to actually put in a rain garden that are highly efficient. So we used all their guidelines in the planning of the actual rain garden, but if the staff has input for depth or anything else, we're happy to. We set it up to be just over 25% of the actual patio area. So it's a pretty big rain garden, should capture everything. And that was per the Yukon specs, but we're obviously happy to talk to anybody.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Dave.
No questions.
Mark,
No questions. Thank you.
Alana,
No questions.
Frank Roth.
And no questions.
Okay, so we have accepted the application, determined there was no site walk required. It was a non-significant application, so I will entertain a motion to accept it with the stipulation that the rain garden plans and be presented to the town before starting, and cooperation with the town is will be followed. Make a motion for that, please,
So moved,
So-
Mark.
and a second.
Seconded.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, I'll give
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next item is 9 Apple Tree Lane.
I don't see the applicant here. See them online. Sent them everything. They said they were gonna be here. So maybe we just postpone it and see if they come in late or whatever.
Okay,
All right.
we'll table item number 2. So we'll call the first public hearing to order for Noble Real Estate Holdings, 8261 Pheneman Road, lot, I should say. Is the applicant ready to make their presentation? Updated on any changes you've made?
Hold on 1 second, Chair. Oh, guys. You don't mind using the podium? Mics, we're not, you guys gotta be right on that mic to hear it, so. Are you ready to present?
Oh,
You just walked in. What do you want to do? That's up to you.
um, we'll hear you after this, after this event. All right, Noble?
Yep. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Robert Reeve. I'm an attorney with Scully Nixon Reeve at 79 Main Street in Unionville. We represent the applicant, Noble Energy Systems LLC. Michael Frisbee is here. Mike is the owner and operator of the Noble gas station system. Tyler Capella from Solely Engineering is here tonight, as well as Bill Kenny from William Kenny Associates, who's the soil scientist. You'll remember that this hearing opened on April 15th. It was continued until May 6th, and we're here again tonight. And throughout the process, we've had feedback both from the staff and from yourselves, the commissioners, as well as comments from an intervener and other members of the public. And just this morning, actually, we received another report from the intervener's consultant. We've been listening to all of the input, and as a result, we are going to be proposing a significant change in the stormwater management design to include a biofiltration system, which Taylor is going to describe for you in a moment. We're also going to be proposing some other site changes that have been referred to as we've gone along, and that information is not yet incorporated in the plans that you have before you. Bill Kenny is going to have some comments and also some responses to some of the concerns that have been brought up regarding potential impacts on the vernal pool, on the wetlands, and on Batterson Park Pond. So as I said, the changes are going to require revisions to the plans, which we hope to complete next week, and then submit them for review by staff, by yourselves, and by all interested parties prior to your next meeting, which is June 3rd. So for that reason, we wish to grant a continuance to close the public hearing until your meeting on June 3rd, 2026. We're actually, I think we're beyond the statutory 35 days now, but we do have plenty of time left under the 65 days of continuances that we're able to grant, and we grant the continuance to your next meeting. So with that, I'll ask Taylor Capella to come up and explain some of the changes that are being made to the plans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. As Bob mentioned, my name is Taylor Capel. I'm with Solely Engineering, licensed civil engineer, state of Connecticut. Thank you for having us here again today. Bruce, if you would go into the next slide, please. So as Bob had mentioned, we are going to have some changes to the plans as well as the stormwater design. First off, I'll just briefly touch on the changes to the plans. The Slater Road access drive, we have added a sidewalk for access from the Slater Road existing sidewalk that runs the length of Slater Road. In order to get into the site, it is on the southern side of the access road and then crosses over to the northern side in order to get over to the travel center. We have it on the southern side initially in order to not get any closer to that wetlands pocket along Slater Road. This way we are staying away from that as much as we can. One of the comments that was brought up at the last hearing was about the snow storage and about what storm level the areas are designed for. These areas of storage can handle a 5-inch storm, snowstorm, and that is how we designed the areas throughout the site. For any larger snowstorm events, we will utilize some additional parking spaces for additional storage, both behind the warehouse, several of the truck spaces, and for the travel center, there'll be some spots along Fieneman Road that'll be utilized. Again, just want to reiterate that any of the snow melt could be contained within the stormwater management system that we're putting in place. None of it will directly run off into the wetlands. Next slide, Bruce, please. So now I'd like to get into some of the stormwater design changes that we are looking to implement. Some of the concerns that have been brought up at some of the previous hearings were for dissolved pollutants within the water runoff runner. And originally we were looking to place 3 hydrodynamic separators on site. One would be before the southern underground retention system, and 2 would be ahead of the northern underground retention system. The plan now is to, again, look at something that will do a better job of treating those dissolved pollutants. As such, we are looking to implement, that's what I meant to say, these bioretention units, which are from Contech. They are called jellyfish filters. They will treat, similar to the hydros, they will treat the floatables, they will treat the trash, total suspended solids they will capture. And in addition to that, they will also treat for the dissolved pollutants. Mainly, I know the dissolved metals, copper and zinc were things that were brought up in the past hearings. And this is after discussions with several manufacturers. Contech is the unit that will most suitable to our site, given the shallow inverts of our rear system, as well as the ability to handle larger flows. These units will be replacing each of the 3 hydrodynamic separators we were previously proposing, and those areas are highlighted in yellow on the plan that is up on the screen currently. In addition to those units, which I'll get into a little bit more after this, 2 of the other changes that we were looking at due to concerns about the vernal pool recharge. Originally, the roof drains for the travel center were going to be routed down through the roof drains into the manhole in the access drive, and then ultimately through the stormwater system. Now the plan is to have that roof water captured, and then it will be contributing towards the hydrology of the vernal pool, as it will be outlet towards that vernal pool. Similarly, along Slater Road access drive, the front portion there that is also highlighted in blue, we are looking to, originally we had a single catch basin on the southern side, which again tied into the rest of the system. The plan now is to replace that catch basin with a biofiltration tree vault, which will capture the runoff from the area highlighted in blue. It will treat the runoff at that point through a filter media, and then it will be outletted towards the vernal pool again to contribute to the hydrology of the vernal pool and help with the recharge of the vernal pool. And I think that's all for that one. If you could go to the next one, please, Bruce. So now just wanted to get into a little bit more of the specifics on the units that we are looking at. Again, these are called the jellyfish filters. The reason that they're named that is because you have multiple cartridges, tend to look like jellyfish tentacles. This here on the screen is just one of their standard details. They have multiple sizes, and each one that we are looking to use will be sized appropriately depending on where on the site it is. Obviously, the one at the back will be the larger of the three, with two smaller units towards the northern underground retention system. These units are H20 loaded rating, so they are able to be placed below pavement. And this application, all three of them will be below pavement. As I said before, they all will be sized appropriately, and they're going to be sized to treat the water quality flow entering into each of the respective units. This represents the 90th percentile rainfall event, also known as the first flush, which has the highest concentration of pollutants. And so each of these units will be sized to accommodate those water quality flows. And this will be based on size as well as number of cartridges within the units themselves. As far as maintenance goes on these, maintenance is yearly. Similar to the hydros, you vac out any sediment, solids, trash. The filters themselves can be rinsed and reused and replaced back into the units. As far as the units themselves, they are manufactured in Aero Concrete in Granby, Connecticut, so local here in the state. These have also been used in many places throughout the U.S., Northeast as well. One of the more prominent locations is outside Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens, New York. That is one of the areas that the rep we spoke to at Contech showed us and how they were able to implement it there. On the next slide, if you could, it'll just give a better depiction of how these units work. So on the right-hand side is your inlet, which will be coming from different areas depending on where on the site. Water will flow into the unit itself, and you have a baffle wall there that'll prevent the floatables and trash debris, and it'll maintain that in that first area. The water will then flow down into the bottom of the chamber and through that little window you can see towards the right. Yep, right there, Bruce. The cartridges are at the back end of this unit here, and the water will flow up through the units being filtered through to remove the dissolved pollutants through the cartridges. Then once the water has flown up through the cartridges, it'll come out the outlet side out into a sump area, and then as that fills up, it'll discharge out through the outlet. There's a differential head drop of 6 inches between inlet and outlet. This will allow for back filtration. So essentially, once the storm event is over, the water will flow back through the filters and settle down to help clean the filters in order to not keep them in the water itself. For any larger storm events, you will see there's a path for it to overflow through where the yellow arrow is, and that will outlet. And these will be again sized to accommodate the 10-year storm with the storm sewer systems that we have in place. On the next slide, please, Bruce, is the biofiltration tree unit that we're looking to use, Tree Vault. This is a Filterra. Again, this is another Contech product. And the way that this functions is in place of the catch basin, we'll have a curb inlet. Water will flow into this unit. There's a bed of mulch on the top, and then below that is a filter media, which will remove, your phosphorus, your dissolved pollutants, and hydrocarbons, that such. As it flows down, it'll reach a underdrain, which will then be outletted, as I mentioned earlier, to help contribute to the vernal pool recharge. And again, this is placed in an area where at the end towards the entrance of the Slater Road access drive, which is far removed from the fueling area. And so this will be a good unit in order to capture some of that, which will reduce the runoff that is eventually getting towards the filter units as well, in addition to helping recharge the vernal pool. The next slide is to talk about the vernal pool recharge. The map you see on the screen is a watershed map for both of the vernal pools that are located on site. The yellow area is for vernal pool 2, which is highlighted in the red circle there. It's a much smaller watershed area versus the vernal pool 1, which is closer to the proposed development. As you can see, though, the watershed for this vernal pool extends quite considerably into the city of New Britain. This is due to their underground storm sewer system. It captures runoff from Woodhaven Road neighborhood, or Woodhaven Drive, sorry, neighborhood, to cul-de-sacs, Adele Road and Skylark Court, as well as a large portion of Slater Road itself. And then to the right of this image, Howe Road as well has some system that ties into the vernal pool area. The outlet is roughly where, the outlet into the site is roughly where Slater Road and Bruce's Cursor is currently. Yep, right there. There's an existing culvert outlet pipe that comes into the site. The water discharges towards the vernal pool and ultimately runs through the vernal pool itself. The overall size of these two areas for the vernal pool 2, it's roughly 5.5 acres that again is contributing to vernal pool 2, whereas the watershed area for vernal pool 1 is 48.3 acres approximately. Now, when you look at it from a ratio aspect of watershed to vernal pool, the ratio for vernal pool 1, which again is the north vernal pool, is at about 20.8 currently, while the ratio for watershed to vernal pool area for number 2 is only at about 8.8. So again, we are currently, the existing conditions are more than double the ratio from a watershed to vernal pool area. Now, if we go to the next slide, this will show the limits of kind of where our development is. The area in black up at the top portion of this. So there we go. Is the area that will be removed, you could say, from the watershed area. This area is the part of the development that's captured by, the part of the development within the watershed that will be captured by our stormwater system. As you can see in the middle of that black area is the blue. That's for the roof that again is going to stay towards the vernal pool. Now, when you look at the areas of this, it's approximately 2.4 acres of removed watershed area, which represents less than 5% of the total watershed feeding this vernal pool. So from a concern of recharge, there is ample water throughout the remainder of the watershed that is leading to this vernal pool. And then just to kind of end on the ratio, even with our removal of this 2.4 acres of watershed, the post-development watershed to vernal pool ratio would be at 19.7, which again is still double the ratio of vernal pool number 2. And I will at this point turn it over to Bill, who can touch a little bit more on those impacts and what that means for the site. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Bill Kenny, Principal of William Kenny Associates from Fairfield, professional wetland scientist, soil scientist, and landscape architect. There are been, as Bob mentioned, quite a few additional documents that we've received from the intervener, and we are looking at those closely and will be just as updated drawings and design documents will be provided to you. We are going to put together detailed written responses to those, the comments, but I just want to take an opportunity tonight to talk about the watershed since it's on a topic this evening. We have been working closely with Solvay with regard to the design changes that they've made, reviewing the filtering system that's proposed. That's certainly a big improvement for dealing with this soluble pollutants that you might find on a site like this. So being able to remove those versus the system that was proposed previously. So that's a great step to improving water quality here on site and off site. And then the changes to collect water in the northeastern corner of the site and continue to have that flow towards a wetland. But I do think it's important to consider the two pools here and their watersheds, and that there's the reason we're comparing those two is as with their critical terrestrial habitat, as we talked about at the last meeting, you have that southern pool is very productive with a significant amount of disturbance within that critical terrestrial habitat, and you still have a productive pool. With regard to the water that supports these pools, to ensure that there's sufficient water depth and duration to support not just the breeding, but the development of these species, it's important to consider that the smaller pool to the south has a much smaller watershed, and it's more of a classic pool. It doesn't have a point surface water inflow and an outflow. Typically, a classic vernal pool, you think of an isolated pocket depression without any discernible inlet or outlet, and that's what this pool is. You can see when you have that, the watershed that's needed to provide adequate water is much smaller. And on the northern pool, what we have is we have an inlet and an outlet. So the pools will fill up, water keeps coming, and it just pours out the other side, and the watershed is so big that it will provide enough water that it makes its way through. It fills up those pools, and then it just keeps moving through the system. And so to support the pool, you can see you could have a much smaller watershed as exists with the southern pool. And our point is, with that northern pool, even though we will be reducing the watershed by about 5%, we still have a very large watershed relative to the pool size itself, and that we're comfortable that there's enough water coming into the system to ensure that the areas that are supporting the breeding and development, these deeper pools, remain hydrated to adequate depth and duration. So we think this exercise is quite useful and illustrative of that point. And so in the coming days, we plan to complete our written responses and provide that to you with regard to comments that you've made in the past, as well as the intervener. And please do attempt to answer any questions you might have this evening, but we really look forward to putting that in writing so it's nice and clear for the record.
Thank you.
That's all that we plan to present at this time. Thank you.
Very good. All right, the intervener available to ask questions of the applicant?
Yep.
And presentation, ask questions.
Yes, Sigrid is on there. Is she gonna? Yep, she's all set. Give me 1 second. Let me get yours up there. Yep, you're all set. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Roman. I'm the property owner of 1292, 1294 Slater Road in New Britain, Connecticut. And I'm the intervener in this proceeding. And before proceeding with our presentation, I did want to state that the information that we're presenting pertains to reports by Sigrid Gadwa of Karya Ecological Services dated May 4th, We also submitted a white paper that she co-authored that was provided on May 14th. And a response paper we provided on May 19th. I understand that there might be additional reports. But what I prepared to talk about today are those reports that she'd previously prepared. Otherwise, the information we're presenting on include prior deep reports or reports prepared for the city of Hartford regarding studies of Batterson Park Pond that are publicly available. They were referenced in proceedings before this commission for the revitalization project of Batterson Park Pond, and we could provide them to the commission if needed. Bruce, you could go to the next. So Secret's reports detail the significance of buffer zones surrounding wetlands, including determinative factors such as buffer properties, the intensity of the development, and the sensitivity and functional value of the receiving wetland. These reports show the northern wetland is currently fully accessible and a high quality upland habitat, and that drier conditions resulting from watershed reduction and altered recharge patterns could lead to the loss of organic soils and biodiversity. So the figures that Seagren had previously provided showed the shallow confining layer in the 3 soil types found in the drainage areas. And it's important to keep in mind that shallow confining layers increase the importance of lateral groundwater discharge into the wetlands. So while we understand that there might be some changes and reconfigurations to this plan, I want to keep in mind that there might still be lateral groundwater impacts, which she could speak to today. The planned development would result in a fundamental change from the groundwater-driven system to one dominated by episodic pollutant-laden runoff. And the proposed development is reasonably likely to lead to biodiversity loss, including to spotted salamanders, wood frogs, and endangered plant species, lizard's tail. We've provided a copy of the deep form to complete a survey of lizard's tail population on the property. Other information to more appropriately assess the impact would include a site-specific hydrologic analysis and groundwater monitoring. It's significant. Go to the next slide. So it's significant that this property is situated between a contiguous core forestland habitat to the south and Batterson Park Pond to the north. So this shows that you can see Deadwood Swamp is the core forest area that I'm talking about. So these surveys were done to show core forestland blocks for purposes of a public act regarding solar power. But this map is helpful to show that it's reasonably likely that any development in the upper portion of that land would have impacts including habitat fragmentation or degradation, including edge effects. Go to the next. So you may recall this map from BSC's presentation for the revitalization project of Batterson Park Pond. It is significant to note that the wetlands delineation identified wetlands bordering Finneman Road, much like the wetlands delineated by Bill Kenny and Associates, including a 100-foot upland review area buffer that reaches the subject property. So you can see that 150-foot review area that also reaches the wetland on this property. This shows the likely connection these wetland systems have in supporting critical terrestrial habitat and the water quality at Batterson Park Pond. So these are some of the descriptions of the wetlands closest to Finneman Road that were provided by BSC. I just wanted to highlight that these wetlands that border Finneman Road similarly are similarly high functioning wetlands. So it just mirrors similar observations that Bill Kenny and Associates had identified. So the reporting for the permit for Batterson Park Pond revitalization project addressed the critical importance the wetland system surrounding the ponds play in pollution attenuation. As you might recall, that plan that obtained permit approval was intended to have high performance efficiencies, including a 99.8% TSS removal, a 57% phosphorus removal, and 36% nitrogen removal. The current development plan would more likely lead to increased pollutant loading. I think we have to review the efficiencies of the jellyfish new system that they've implemented, but it's important to know that those deficiencies could have impacts on the performance of the Batterson Park Pond revitalization project. Also, if there happens to be a pollution event requiring remediation on this site, like what occurred last year at Nobles gas station across the street, the extraction of groundwater on this property would likely cause additional hydrological impacts to the wetlands and vernal pools. So this is from DEEP's total maximum daily loads analysis. This is a map that they use to calculate those TMDLs. The applicant's focus on the vernal pool watershed is missing the bigger picture, which is the Batterson Park Pond watershed. When DEEP set total maximum daily loads for Batterson Park Pond in 2004, the entire Batterson Park watershed was considered, which included Basin 3, shown here. DEEP identified an increase in 2024 of urban development in the watershed from 25% to 28%. So we were already seeing an increase. The 2004 analysis depended on an earlier report from Bay State environmental consultants to the city of Hartford, which recommended that municipalities take whatever steps they can to limit non-point source contributions in the respective watersheds and around Batterson Park Pond. You can go next slide. Right. So this is the 2004 analysis that discussed the permissible and critical limits, including nitrogen and phosphorus, and DEEP report recommended aggressive watershed and in-lake management to achieve no net increase in loading. Go ahead. And so this was the recommendation from that earlier report provided to the city of Hartford, recommending to take whatever steps they can to limit non-point source contributions. Sorry, Bruce, I didn't realize you were advancing. I was reading too quickly. It's okay. You could go to the next one. So the Bay State report also emphasized that the land most threatening to the water quality are closest to the pond. And another finding from this report was that the Deadwood Swamp drainage accounts for 2/3 of the drainage coming to Batterson Park Pond. So that's a pretty significant, sizable amount of drainage coming to the pond from this area or basin of the watershed. This would further emphasize the connection this forested property has to the water quality of the pond. So this is just a modified chart of DEEP's analysis on the TMDLs for the pond. At the time, total nitrogen and total phosphorus were already exceeding the permissible limits. The TMDL was set to target a 50% reduction of the loads to the pond, but by 2024, this was not achieved. So the applicant acknowledges that the proposed development will increase stormwater runoff to Batterson Park Pond, but it's reasonable to assume that the development will increase pollutant loads. We talked about some dissolved pollutants that would still likely make it to Batterson Park Pond. I also just want to state for the record, I know at the end of the last session, there was a conversation about alleged encroachments. And as an applicant in this proceeding, I'm limited what I could present in the evidence about my property, since we're talking about the applicants. And I'm limited to what I put in my petition, which is not about my property. But I will say that if there is concern about my shed, I hope that there's more concern about the large warehouse, the retaining wall that's super close to the vernal pool, and this intensive development. And on a personal note, I'm not against all development. I think in my petition, I even addressed that there should be some other feasible, prudent alternatives that should be considered. And so I just wanted to close with that because I think putting a diesel fueling station operation this close to the pond that's already pretty compromised, as we've showed today, does not make sense.
Thank you. Okay, now we will,
Yeah, she is. Oh, she does. All right. You're good. Why don't you stay up there? I'll stay up there. That way you can coach or talk her through because I'm not, it's your presentation, so. Seagan, are you there?
Yeah, I am.
All right.
Okay, I have some questions first. Can you discuss the now that we don't no longer have the hydrodynamic separators and we don't have 4 bays for conventional basins, how are the range of sizes of particulates going to be removed? Because there is an ongoing flux between the dissolved state and then absorption to particulates, small particulates, larger, organic, or mineral, and a large fraction of metals and phosphorus is at least some of the time absorbed to particulates, and it's removed through those mechanisms. So can you just do these jellyfish filters also remove particulates, or how are they removed with your system? And also, how do you deal with the dissolved nitrogen, which is for the Batterson Pond? That's one of the most important pollutants. It's one of the easiest to remove with a forested buffer because the vegetation, the trees take it up and use it to make leaves and wood. But if you don't have a forested buffer or even another kind of vegetated buffer, the stormwater has elevated nitrate levels and then causes algal blooms and excess aquatic vegetation in Batterson. So those two questions: how is your new system going to address prevent any increase in nitrogen loading, and how is it going to remove the particulates? And I should also say the particulates are especially important because in a facility that has diesel trucks, because the PAHs, the polyaromatic hydrocarbons, do latch on very strongly and readily to particulates, both organic and soil particles. And they are very toxic to aquatic life, as well as very carcinogenic and teratogenic. So, and sediments in urban areas and in the bottom of in urban ditches, urban streams typically have really scary levels of PAHs, and they're absorbed to the sediments that have settled out into the bottoms of these urban waterways. So how are you going to prevent particulates with absorbed PAHs from reaching Batterson Pond?
Do you want to stand?
yeah.
Yeah.
Please, thank you.
Hi, Sigrid. That's a great question. Taylor Capel here from Soli. Yes, these jellyfish filters do treat particulates. They achieve the required removal rates per this Connecticut Stormwater Manual, 2024 Stormwater Manual. And these treat both the particulates as well as the dissolved metals as discussed earlier.
And how often are the volume of particulates can be quite high? How often are the media changed, for the maintenance? Because sometimes you can get saturation of a filter and then its effectiveness decreases.
Yeah, absolutely. So as discussed earlier, when talking to the manufacturer, they recommended a annual cleaning. However, upon the installation, they recommend a 6-month kind of check-in, see how it's performing, making sure, what the levels are. And then from there, you can kind of gauge how often, if annual is sufficient, or if you need to do more frequent maintenance.
Yeah. Now, one of the issues with the hydrodynamic separators is that they were much more effective at removing the larger size particulates, and the fine particulates and very fine ones were not treated. How is is there a similar pattern with these jellyfish filters, or are all sizes equally effectively treated, removed?
I don't have that answer off the top of my head. That is something we will provide in our response.
Okay. Now, and what about, I remember you said in your presentation, you mentioned that they were effective at removing the metals that are important in pavement runoff, but you didn't mention nitrogen. What can you talk about dissolved nitrate removal?
Nitrogen is also treated through these units. That is per the discussions with the manufacturer.
There are multiple kinds of nitrogen. I mean, some nitrogen is particulate, and you really expect it. It's part of organic matter or whatever. Then there's ammonia, and there's nitrate. So the dissolved nitrate is. You got data for that? And can I look that up online? The removal rates, all these things.
We could provide that in our response.
Well, is it also that it should also be available probably from the manufacturer, right?
I believe it probably is.
Yeah. Okay. So that's really it sounds impressive, but now I also wanted to mention something that was part of my the first report, and it's also there's a section in the buffer document about it. When you're talking about groundwater recharge, it's not just a matter of water quantity. When water moves through topsoil and the upper subsoil, and it picks up dissolved organic matter, humic acids, other kinds of dissolved organic matter, and it also picks up lots of cations, calcium, magnesium, manganese, and it's like basically like a hydroponic fluid by the time it gets to the bottom of a hill, or if with a reasonably long flow path. And that's why if you have these confining layers, instead of the vast majority of the water going down to a deep water table, it all stays relatively close to the surface, and it picks up a higher concentration, just greater loading, and the resulting concentrations of especially the calcium and magnesium and the humic acids is higher when it gets to the bottom. And that's why you have more diverse plant communities. For example, the ironwood and the hornbeam and the maple leaf viburnum and all the spring ephemerals. The plant diversity is markedly higher at the base of a slope. And it doesn't have to be a trap rock slope or a marble slope, any slope, just because there's more contact with the soil minerals and more uptake by the minerals are dissolved and they're carried by the groundwater. So I actually remember in the town just another case where we had a seepage fed unusual wetland with deep organic matter and high plant diversity, and its watershed was being truncated. And so the solution was to put roof runoff and make sure the same amount of water came in there. Well, I returned there 8 years later, and all the organic matter had oxidized, and it was now a ponded wetland, a pond. Because, and the roof runoff does not have those constituents that the wetland needs. And that this is something that botanists are aware of, but I don't think it's part of the training curriculum for inland wetland commissioners. And so I'm just bringing that up because that the loss of the couple of acres of slow, shallow runoff, groundwater discharge over the hard pan is going to change this wetland. And we do have a population of endangered species. And I would like to ask if we can get a little more firsthand information on about how large the occurrence of the lizard's tail is and what part of the vernal pool it's growing in. So
All right, excuse me, I'm having trouble following your course of questioning. If you could try and be a little more direct with your questions, it might be
okay,
helpful.
I'll do that. So the for the plant community, how can the applicant avoid depriving the vernal pool wetland and its plant community of the of groundwater inputs that include the important dissolved minerals, nutrients, and organic matter that are needed to support this particular high quality diverse plant community. And I don't see how, other than by having a larger buffer and putting changing the layout, that these inputs, these enriched groundwater inputs, can be preserved. But do you see a way that they could be?
I'm similar. I'm struggling a bit to follow what your line of questioning is. But if we can certainly respond in writing in terms of how we can handle the groundwater, I believe is the main.
Well, I mean, let me just try. I laid the groundwork by explaining that natural groundwater discharge over a confining layer through a shallow solum picks up minerals and dissolved organic matter and is enriched by the time it gets to the base of the hill. And it's widely known that a whole suite of plants, including sugar maple and ironwood, those are the trees, and many herbaceous species, grow almost exclusively on the lower slope or in the wetlands. And when one puts a facility 20 feet from the wetland, you deprive the wetland and the remaining slope base community of the natural groundwater. So this is an adverse impact that will affect the structure and the composition of the community, and it also results in a change in the soil characteristics of the wetland. How I hope maybe you can't answer it off the top of your head. I wouldn't think you'd be able to, but I do have the question is, how can the applicant address this issue?
So I think the way that I'd like to respond here is to reiterate the fact that we are impacting less than 5% of the watershed that's leading to the vernal pool. And we've already made significant changes to better address some of the concerns and issues and from where we initially started. Initially we started with a larger development, which we've provided here as, an alternative to our original design. And so again, the scale of the impact to the vernal pool is again a 5% land area that we are impacting in the watershed.
But a large part of that watershed is an urban watershed. Is urban.
Different way. So are you saying there are no groundwater impacts? Is that what you're saying?
No, that is not what I said. I did not say that, but I'm saying the overall impact that we have is less than 5% on the overall watershed of this vernal pool.
What is the percent of the naturally forested watershed that will be removed? I think we should take out the street system off Slater Road and to get the, could you come back with a percentage of intact forested watershed that's being removed?
We can attempt, in our response, we can certainly look
that
at
would be more meaningful, because the clean groundwater from the forest dilutes the pollutants that come in via the Slater Road outfall. And
Yes,
we do have 250 feet of a flow path, and there's going to be a lot of attenuation.
Please.
Excuse me?
Thank you. I was trying to answer part of your question about, you mentioned about removing completely the other part of the watershed, but that I feel like you can't completely remove that as part of the, analysis of this, because it is in fact leading to this vernal pool. So you say that to try and completely disregard that in a way.
No, I just think you can make a second calculation of the percentage of natural forested watershed, which would be contributing the dissolved organics and the minerals.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, and also as the document that that was submitted early this morning talked about a way to analyze how effective the long flow path from the outfall to the vernal pool is currently at filtering the pollutant load that comes in via the outfall, and you've already mapped the watershed there, and so you can read that section of my report and include a narrative just describing that. I think that at least the nutrients will be taken up by because it's going through 250 feet of forest and with considerable denitrification as well. So I think that the nutrients would be taken up, but so that's.
We haven't had time to review the report fully.
Of course not. Of course not. But you will. But you will have it at your disposal. Now, could I please ask some questions of Mr. Kenny regarding the botany? Is he there? Can I?
Yes, he's coming to
Yes,
the
I'm here.
podium.
Okay, that's good.
Good evening. How are you, Sigrun?
I'm fine. So I was very interested that you found the lizard's tail, and I'm wondering, how many there are, and what the habitat is like where they're growing, and which part of the pool they're in.
Sure. And
Just
for
tell
the
me about
record,
them. Tell me about the observation, and
Please, thank you.
thank you. For the record, I was not the biologist from my office that was on site and made that determination. But
okay.
I do know that that person identified that plant at the southern vernal pool. It's not the northern vernal pool, it's vernal pool 2. So the vernal pool in the yellow watershed shown on the map right now. And we are looking at that more closely to document some of the factors that Sigrun has raised with regard to that. So
Oh, okay. So when I read your report, I thought it was vernal pool 1. The other species, and I didn't mention this in the report, was the Ilex glabra. And Ilex glabra is interesting because I have only found it in wetland soils with that are organic, very high percent organic matter near the coast. I did one NDDB search and found a population near the coast a few years ago. But you just found a single isolated Ilex glabra, not a population, right? And they are planted a lot in landscaping plans, though they very rarely reproduce outside their natural habitat. But could you confirm that there was only an isolated individual of the threatened Ilex glabra?
I don't have that information this evening, but we will certainly confirm that.
Okay, that's good.
Can I ask you a question about the dissolved nitrogen issue that you raised?
The nitrates, dissolved nitrates, yeah. That they do tend to cause a fibric peat to decompose, and because the bacteria that break down the cells in the peat are more active when there's a higher concentrations of dissolved nitrates. So they change the wetlands soils and make them organic soils and make them softer and more mucky.
Okay. But you mentioned a concern for the pond.
Yeah. They're concerned for Batterson Pond. It's of course that that's a DEP concern too. They'd like to see a significant reduction in nitrogen loading.
Okay, because I know typically limiting nutrient in a freshwater system versus a saltwater system. In Long Island Sound, a saltwater system, nitrogen is the limiting nutrient with regard to. But in freshwater systems, I'll look into it more with this pond, see if there's something different about this pond. But typically, it's phosphorus. So I was
I learned the same thing. I learned the same thing. I just saw the report that Ms. Roman cited in her presentation, and they were talking about nitrogen loading. I think it may not be as algae as much as the aquatic vegetation. I don't know. But
okay, I was just wondering if you were aware of something.
Yeah, I am aware that especially in streams where there's a lot of phosphorus just from the stream sediment. It's in streams the nitrogen is more limiting than the phosphorus, because the phosphorus is amply available.
Okay, I think we're going to move on to questions from the commission.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So I'll go through the commission list and ask if they have questions of the applicant or of the intervener, either one. Okay, Rich.
In listening to the presentation tonight, some question came to mind. Was there any consideration to treating the effluent from that storm drainage system on Slater Road to mitigate or offset the pollutants that might be coming from the proposed development, so that there might be either a zero increase or a net benefit to the site? I'm not expecting an answer tonight, but I just thought I'd raise the question. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's okay.
Robert? My first question is actually for Bruce. I just want to make sure that we all agree on what the time limitation is for the public hearing. I heard Attorney Reeves say that the applicant is agreeable to an extension, but I just want to make sure that we're all clear on what the maximum allowable time for the public hearing is.
Well, we gave the extension for one, so that was today. Okay, he's allowed up to 65 days, so he gave, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, you've given us one, so that gives you 64 days. So that'll get us, you're giving us another 2 weeks, so that's another 14 days. So we've still got time in there to do that, and then once it closes, then we need to act. And we have the 35 days to act on it. So
That's the 65 days for the hearing extension, or is it,
he's just giving us an extension for the hearing right now. That's it.
right? My question is what's the maximum allowable time for the public hearing? Because there's a lot of new information that's coming in. So I just want to make sure that all parties agree that even with the extension, it's still within, I don't want to have a procedural flaw on extending the maximum allowable time. For the hearing.
So the maximum extensions that we can grant for either closing the public hearing or voting after the public hearing is closed is a total of 65 days. We've used up one of those days by getting us to tonight, and we're using up another 14 of those days by extending the time to close the public hearing until June 3rd. So we have 50 more days in our reserve if we need to use them to either keep the public hearing open longer, or if you want more than the 35 days that you're permitted by statute to vote after the public hearing closed. So from the applicant's perspective, we're confident that we're not butting up against any procedural deadline time frames at this point.
Thank you, Attorney Reeves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question I have is, and Tyler, you covered a lot of information early on in your presentation. So with the new design, the roof drainage water is being treated through the new spiral jellyfish notes. So that, yeah, if you could address it from the podium. So yeah, if you could recap what the flow of the roof stormwater will be.
Sure. No, the roof is not leading to the jellyfish filters. It is going to be outletted towards, as you can see there, outletted towards the wetlands, treated at the point there at the discharge point, and then contributing to the recharge of the vernal pool.
Okay, so currently no treatment of the roof water is proposed.
It's going to be treated at the point of discharge. We're still working through design as far as how it's going to come together.
Okay, thank you. And while you're at the podium,
sure.
I'm not overly familiar with the spiral jellyfish filtration system. Have you had direct experience using these systems in other projects that you've managed?
I have personally not. Again, that's why we've been in conversations with the manufacturer to learn as much as we can about these and making sure that these are a relevant application for the site.
Okay, one more question along those lines. So what was the basis for choosing this technology over other stormwater treatment technologies?
So again, one of the concerns that was brought up in previous hearings by the commission was for the dissolved pollutants. The jellyfish filter itself allowed for the higher flows for the water quality flow that we would be seeing. And some of the other manufacturers didn't quite reach that flow rate. The jellyfish filters do easily. They can exceed that, and we're not at the top range of that. And additionally, it was due to the depth of the inverts where we were replacing the hydrodynamic separator with these units. A lot of the other manufacturers have a much deeper system. And so in order to meet the shallow inverts, this was the best alternative.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
And I do have one more comment for the applicant, not necessarily a question, but given that there is going to be some redesign, new plans being submitted, it would be beneficial for you to consider some habitat enhancements. What I gathered from your presentation was that you're taking additional mitigative protective measures to minimize impact to the vernal pools. But it is an overall balance. It would be good for you to consider if there's some enhancements that could be used to offset any potential impacts that may result from the final revised plans.
Okay, thank you.
Those are the end of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave,
I don't have any questions at this time.
Mark Simpson,
Yes, Bruce, can you go to the right a little bit? I had a question about the roof leader and how it would just go to the right where the access road is. My question is, these vernal pool one seems to get most of its water flow from Slater Road, and it's been talked about how it comes and feeds in to the side off Slater Road into the vernal pool directed that way. So there's a wetlands above there that access road is. Where does that water up there, vernal pool 2 is a subsurface, seems to be get replenished under subsurface. Is that water, wetlands there and along Veneman Road, are they providing the water for vernal pool 2? Where's the water coming into there for the vernal pool 2?
This is Bill Kenny. We have looked closely at that wetland area physically, it looks like a classic vernal pool. It's an isolated depression, and we've reviewed it and monitored it, and it doesn't have standing water in it. And I think the reason for that is that Slater Road, when that was developed, they cut off some of its watershed. It probably had maybe this watershed was twice the size, so it doesn't get the water that it got historically before there was development in the area. So just want to say that. So water, that's an isolated depression. Water could leave through the ground, and it can evaporate. Often that's the primary way for something like this. It doesn't appear that it would maybe take a 500-year storm before it ever rose to a height where it would spill over. At some point, if it rose 3 or 4 feet, it would spill over and flow down to the wetland with vernal pool 2. But based on what we've seen, it doesn't appear there's a watershed large enough to provide the water that would be needed unless it was Noah's Ark. So, and there could be some groundwater moving through there. Without doing borings, we can't tell if there's a change in the bedrock topography that prevents groundwater from moving laterally from that location to the wetlands. Some groundwater might be moving that way, but we can't say because of the lay of land there.
Yeah. So the vernal pool 1, due to the development, you're talking about a 5% reduction. What is the reasoning for that? If you're taking some water from the not the warehouse, I guess the gas station, whatever you would call it, that water is going to be flushed into the area where that vernal pool 1 would be. Where's the 5% being diverted? Where's it being diverted from, and where is it going?
Taylor Capel back here. Bruce, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. This shows, again, the proposed development area that's impacting the watershed. The area in black is what's going to go into our stormwater system.
Yep.
The blue box in the middle is the roof that
Yep.
again is still part of the watershed towards that vernal pool.
Yep. So you're saying there's a 5% reduction. So if I see everything there with those, seems like at least, you got these infiltrators, and well, I shouldn't say that anymore, but it seemed like it would be going into the vernal pool 1, but you're saying it's 5% is being, I guess, sent somewhere else. So I'm just curious.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Well, what I'm concerned about vernal pool from the report, 1, it talks about its functioning. Both pools have, I guess, a brown tint you talked about. One vernal pool 2, I think, is a little bit more dirtier in some sense, but it did talk about leafy matter and all that type of stuff down there. So I assume the coloration is due to organic. I'm assuming maybe you can answer, but seems to be organic in some sense. But the vernal pool one seemed to me it was shallow in many areas, but there were deep pools of 2 to 3 feet, where I assume the egg masses are consolidated, and thus it probably can support, salamanders, tree frogs and everything else. But I'm wondering if any reduction of what they're currently getting will impact that vernal pool number one. I'm not a biologist or anything, but I just wondering if there's some way to be more to feed that vernal pool versus taking something away from it. That's my only comment, and maybe you can answer to that.
So yeah, in terms of, again, the reduction in the watershed that is feeding into this vernal pool is less than 5% of a reduction. You're still getting 46, I think it's 46 acres of watershed that is still feeding into this vernal pool. So from a quantity standpoint, you're still having a large amount of area that's feeding into this vernal pool. We can certainly work on a more in-depth response in submission for the next hearing.
Okay, I appreciate it. No more further questions.
Thank you. Frank,
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Alana,
Yes, I have two questions. So has the finding of the lizard's tail been reported to the state at all? Has that been reported to DEEP's Department of Natural Diversity?
It has not. As we look at this more closely, we are evaluating that.
Okay. And my other question was, when do you expect to have your written response to the intervener completed?
That's a good question. Well, we're looking to do that midweek. I'll talk with the team, but that's our objective, is get it into you as quickly as possible so you have time to consider it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
No more questions.
I have a question to the applicant, actually. You had asked us to encourage us to take a look at your Enfield gas station that was done recently. And well, I didn't get up there, but Google Maps and Street View actually drove around the whole building a whole lot. So I did see a couple things that I was curious about, and that's you got two fueling canopies there, but only one with pumps. Why was that done that way?
Good evening. For the record, my name is Michael Frisbee. I'm the owner of Noble Energy Real Estate Holdings and Noble Gas Inc. It's a great question. So as part of our future thinking with regard to transportation, we're looking at all types of different fuels. So we have high-speed diesel, gas, EV charging. That's an EV charging canopy. So what we're trying, we were approved for the NEVI funding a couple of years ago when we built this. They withdrew that NEVI funding, and now we're back. They've approved several of my locations for that funding. So we have charging at most of our facilities, but Enfield, that one there is set up for the NEVI charging, the fast charging for that separate canopy. And what my goal was to have EV car drivers have the same experience as a gas powered vehicle driver, where they could be under a canopy when it's raining. I drive a Rivian and other cars, but drive Rivian, and my experience going to a charger in the parking lot of a mall or something else when it's raining and I'm trying to get my car to charge wasn't a great experience. So I'm trying to include that in my design. So.
Okay. And the other question is, there's no warehouse in that spot, is there?
Not at that location, no. I'll give you an example of a project that we did in Sturbridge, Mass, which I call a Noble Travel Center. It is 7 acres. of which 4 acres has been developed for the travel center. There is a just over 7,500, 8,000 square foot warehouse building on the balance of the property that I inherited a tow truck company, and their lease just expired at the end of 25. And we're working to do something similar there to have a smaller, medium-sized warehouse facility. I think while I'm here, I might as well address it. People are calling this a truck stop. This is not a truck stop. This is a travel center, a mini travel center that I own and operate. The difference between a Noble facility is that we have the different types of fuel. We have high-speed diesel, we have gas, we have EV charging. A truck stop for the national tenants, they have 15, 20, 30 acres of land with 2 to 3 times as many fueling positions that we have, as well as hundreds of parking spaces for trucks to stay overnight. The big difference between what we have found in our travel centers is that the major logistic companies have contracts with these major trucking truck stop locations. So as an example, my Windsor location, there is a 500,000 square foot Target facility on the same street. They just built it. We just opened up just before we opened up our mini travel plaza. They have 110 trucks, tractor trailer trucks a day coming in and out of that facility, and they cannot stop at my facility to get diesel. So what we have targeted, and we think as part of our business model, is to service the local trucks, the local businesses in our marketplace, so that they can be able to get better priced diesel fuel versus going to one of these national companies that if you don't have a contract with them, they'll post $5, $6, $7 for diesel, but those companies aren't paying that. They have a contracted price that's much less than that, which is closer to the street price. So it's not a truck stop. It's a mini travel plaza that we own and operate. So hopefully anybody have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer that.
Oh, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Is there any other questions?
Yeah, I have one more question. The canopy, where's the roof water from the canopies going?
Taylor Capelbeck. The roof water is going into the stormwater system, down through roof leaders, down underground into the catch basins and into the
Could
system.
that water be redirected to the same outlet as the roof?
Something we can certainly look into.
Might help with your recharge situation.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. We'll move on to public comment for this. Okay. Well, okay. I had asked people if they have questions for the applicant or the intervener. If you have questions for your intervener, by all means.
I do have 2 questions here.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 2 questions for the intervener. And Bruce, is Sigrid still online?
Yep, she's still there.
I just want to get clarification. Sigrid referenced a report submitted this morning. I just want to be clear because I haven't seen a May 19th report. So is the May 19th report submitted this morning?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah, everything's been uploaded to the SharePoint. I apologize. I didn't send it to everyone because came in that quick, but everything was uploaded.
no,
to the SharePoint.
understood. I just want to make sure that I understand the number of documents. And then the other question I have is Sigrid in her comments asked if we wanted the deep reports about Patterson Park, that we should obtain those. Where if you want
I
something
can, I
you
could supply them.
should
Yeah.
provide this. Yes, great, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions for the intervener? Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll take public comment now. I'll ask that people, we have a lot of people here, maybe keep your comments to 3 to 5 minutes. And if you've already given a public comment once already at one of the previous meetings. Maybe you can, if you don't have anything new to add, you could just hold off and make sure everybody gets a chance to speak. Okay.
We'll start.
We go by rows. So this gentleman here.
We'll start with Chair. We'll start with in-house or our in-house
We'll
first.
start
and we'll
with
go to
in-house,
online.
yes.
Right, no, because I'm getting a bunch of hands raised. I want to let them know. that we'll
Okay.
Get to them.
All right, you're
after
going to be
you.
starting with in-house and then go to the people online.
For the record, I'm Peter Bagdigian, 29 Batterson Park Road. Just saying that I am not in favor of this truck stop or whatever you're calling it.
Okay. Anybody else here? You? All right. Thank you. Your name and address, please.
My name is Albert Rosman. I reside at 65 Susan Road in New Britain, Connecticut. And the question that I have is that all this seems well and good, but when a tractor trailer or truck comes out of your area and onto Slater Road, there will still be residue on the tires. I was a tractor trailer driver for 41 years with United Parcel Service. Have you ever went to a fueling area and saw where diesel was and it's black there? When it rains, it's still black there. So my concern is you're going to do something for the Slater Road and Finneman Road with the catch basins there, because you're still going to get residue going down those roads. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next row, Mr. McNamara. Okay. Who in that row wants to speak? Yeah, this row here. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm Kate Grady Benson, 32 Mountain Road, Farmington. A couple things. The impact of the truck stop, I'm going to use that because that's how it's been referred to, for the ecosystem. It's multi-tiered. One is the creation of air pollution, which contains nitrous oxide, particulate matter, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide. Heavy-duty vehicles such as trucks are major contributors to urban smog and particulate pollution and greenhouse gas emissions. This increases around cities and is problematic for residences. And I think about those houses right next to the proposed facility and in New Britain, who will be affected most. And ultimately, it decreases the overall environmental quality. Hydrocarbons in gasoline can persist for years. Volatile organic compounds from evaporating fuels contribute to smog and respiratory illness issues nearby. The second issue, contaminated water from fuel spills and leaks seeping into the groundwater. This is definitely going to happen. You see it across the country, actually around the world, where gas refilling stations have spills on a regular basis. This is not only gas, but grease, ammonia, nitrogen, hydrocarbons. And then the third thing is the habitat disruption. So yes, this area is not taking up the entirety of the 85 acres of land. However, what it does is fragment the area for wildlife and plant life, which is a disruption to the ecosystem, and they're displaced. I am coming out publicly against the project, and I wanted to state that for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in that row? Okay.
John Grady Benson. I'm a resident of 32 Mountain Road and 52 Garden Street. I appreciate the focus, the laser focus on the vernal pools. It appears that not only the committee, but the applicants are understanding the significance of this. I also appreciate the fact that you've come back with a counter proposal that tries to mitigate the damage. It is my opinion that there should be 0% impact on any vernal pool in that area or any area, if possible. So 5% sounds great. It looks great when you look at the map, but I think there should be 0% impact. And I would reiterate the concerns. There's been a lot of talk about water. I'd reiterate the concerns just mentioned about air pollution and noise pollution in the area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, John Schoenhorn, 155 Town Farm Road, Farmington. As a land use official myself for many years on the Zoning Board of Appeals, I've had opportunities to consider both the interests of developers and property owners, as well as the interests of the town. When it comes to issues where there are going to be impervious surfaces, occasionally our board also has to address whether parking lots will be larger than are allowed or that have been previously permitted. And my biggest concern that I'm raising here is that diesel fuel, the viscosity of diesel fuel is, as I understand it, many, many times more harmful to the environment than gasoline or other types of fuel, because of the danger that it might go into waterways. And once diesel does get into a wetlands, even if it's 5%, as we're talking about here, it stays for a very long time. It is difficult, if not impossible, to remediate. So I've read all of the minutes from the last meeting. I agree with a lot of the statements about idling trucks and how that affects the environment. But my particular concern has to do with the idea that, and I heard from this gentleman who mentioned he used to be a truck driver, not only is diesel fuel, does it remain on the ground and end up on the tires of the vehicles and therefore on the neighboring roads? But with the amount of waterways, the amount of increased precipitation caused by global warming, there's going to be larger storms, larger amounts of runoff, and that's all going to end up in the wetlands too. And that's my personal specific concern. That's why I oppose this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. D'Amico.
Good evening. My name is Mike D'Amico. I live at 6 Deborah Lane in Farmington. And with your permission, Mr. Chair, I'd like to read a statement that was prepared by my wife, who unfortunately could not be here tonight, has a previous commitment. Would that be okay?
Feel free, yeah.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening. My name is Brenda Bergeron. I live at 6 Deborah Lane in Farmington. I am writing in opposition to the proposal by Noble Energy to build on lot 8261 Finneman Road. The proposal includes, among other things, a refueling gas station, a 10,000 square foot diesel fuel pump station, and a warehouse. I second the concerns raised by attorney Stephanie Roman and many others at the previous hearings. This proposed use is likely to pollute, impair, and destroy the natural resources of this area, and is a threat to both natural resources and to the surrounding community, including in the following ways. Number one, the site under consideration is one of the few tracts of land left in this neighborhood of both Farmington and New Britain where wild flora and fauna can flourish. For example, each year when there are significant rains in the area, frogs from the nearby wetlands hop to neighboring roads and lands. We see them in our development by the scores. Where will these creatures and other wildlife and plants live once the site is developed to this extent? The answer is that they will either perish or they will be pushed further into the residential areas nearby. This is not acceptable. Number two, the businesses that are currently in this area are designed to serve the needs of nearby residents. There are no large industrial or commercial enterprises. Even if a wetlands border or parcel is maintained, the encroachment of an operation of the size contemplated by this project, with industrial amounts of diesel fuel, a constant line of trucks coming and going, idling, loading and unloading, will inevitably create both air and water pollutants well beyond the levels currently experienced with the existing businesses. And finally, number three, the New Britain and Farmington residents of the affected neighborhoods
are entitled to the same beauty and benefits of existing natural resources as currently exist, and as are encouraged and supported by Farmington officials elsewhere in Farmington. Please reject this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next row.
Excuse me.
You-
Mr. DeBico, do you want to submit a copy of that? Do you want to submit a copy of that for the record? We'll stamp it in. All right. It's easier. You. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Next row, you miss.
Good evening. I did not come prepared to speak, but I do want to go. Oh, my name is Candida Flores, 941 Slater Road in New Britain. I did not come prepared to speak, but I do want to go on the record in opposition for this project. I am mainly concerned about the human impact and the potential health implications to the residents in the area. There's a large population of elderly individuals living in that, as well as children in that area. I'm primarily concerned, my grandson has chronic asthma, and I'm concerned about the impact of the fuel and the fumes and whatever pollutants could be spread in the air that could impact his health. So again, I'm in opposition, and I wanted to state that for the record.
Thank you. Anybody else in that row would like to speak?
Hello, my name is Kathy Howell Talmont. I live at 55 Batterson Drive, New Britain, directly on Batterson Pond. And I'm here because I'd like to speak for the beleaguered, ignored, and abused Batterson Pond. Hartford ditched Batterson years ago. There used to be a park that every weekend from Memorial Day to Labor Day was open for swimming. Camp Current was there Monday through Friday, and they brought the children down for swimming. We had water skiing shows. We had veterans that were there that were handicapped, that were brought in for particular activities on the pond. I've watched the pond deteriorate for over 20 years. And what I noticed from the presentation tonight, I didn't see anything from the applicants that said Batterson Pond. They directed their comments to vernal pools and things that would impact the pond, but never directly talked about the pond. And there have been impacts to the entire circumference of this pond for many, many years that now make it, from the DEEP, do not swim in it, do not wade in it. You can fish, you can eat the fish, you'd have to be out of your mind. But this has all happened over a period of decades because nobody cared. And I firmly, firmly believe that if this applicant receives permission to do this, it's the final nail in the coffin of that pond. One spill, one mistake, one overlooked pump left running by some chance, and there's nothing left. And I would sincerely hope that you would vote against this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from that row? Go ahead.
Pam Frazaka, 186 Country Club Road in New Britain, Connecticut. And along the same lines as what she was talking about, I'm concerned about what's in place to guarantee that maintenance is going to occur on the jellyfish filters. If financially they're in trouble and they can't afford to replace those at the end of the year, or if they sell it and the new owners come in, and is there anything in place for that? And is there any idea of what to do to remove everything that's been put in should it shut down at some point. And I'm talking, maybe 20 years in advance, but we still are going to have the problem. So that's, and just a silly thing, but have you considered any of the abandoned factory buildings in New Britain that have already damaged the wildlife there? There's so many other areas. I don't understand why we're gonna, anyhow, that clearly I'm opposed. And those are things I'd love to have answers to. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it for that row? Anybody else? Okay, all right. All right, last row. Anybody here want to speak? Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Anna Swinburne. I'm a Farmington resident at 62 Mountain Road. I'm here personally to oppose the project, but also I am the Chief Executive Officer and Executive Director at Hillstead Museum, which is at 35 Mountain Road, and also on behalf of the institution to oppose the project for multiple reasons, many of which have been stated here this evening. But also, I would like to, in direct response to what I heard from tonight's testimony, also raise a question. We have heard from the applicant that a lot of the mitigation rests on this jellyfish filtration system that they have admitted they don't have direct experience using. So that to me is a red flag. I have recently worked with a committee last year for an application that we had, and I greatly respected the thoroughness of your review, as well as the very conservative approach to what you did and did not allow at the wetlands at Hillstead Museum. And I would hate to see in an instance such as this that Farmington become a guinea pig. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Evan Coles, 148 Main Street, Farmington. Mr. Chairman, commissioners, I wanted to direct your attention to staff comment number 57, which has to do with conservation easement on the southern part of the property, where a staff comment requests that that be shown in meets and bounds. I guess it's the boundary of the conservation easement. That was a comment on the wetlands plan. I couldn't find it anywhere. I don't know if you discussed that since your staff comments, but were you to approve this, I strongly hope that you make it a condition of approval that there be a conservation easement on the southern part, on the whole rest of the property. The vernal pool obviously is sensitive, but there's other wetlands all the way through here. And I just really think that they need to be protected rather than chewed away at over the years. And I hope that that makes it into the final approval. Thank you.
Very good.
Hi, I'm Kate Emery, and I live on Prowling Pond, 74 Prowling Pond Road, and I'm also the retired CEO of the Walker Group, which is a Farmington company that's celebrating its 40th year. And I bring that up because the Walker Group has 48 employees and is the first company in Connecticut to become a perpetual purpose trust. And I bring that up because what that stemmed from was my recognition that I think we've been misled in the many previous years to think that business has to be all about and only about money. And as a purpose trust, we give 1/3 of our distributed profits to employees and 1/3 to the community. And I love that. And I love what that does to the community. And I guess what I want to ask, I mean, everybody here has talked about really important things. And I think every single person that has spoken against this project because of its impact on the community. And my question is not why should we not do it, but what is this doing for our community? Is it doing anything positive for our community? And if it's not doing anything positive for our community, screw the money. Let's pay attention to what's good for the town. And I just would hope to get that under greater consideration. And that's all. I object to the project.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in that row or? Okay, go ahead. Oh, we get two.
Hi, my name is Betty DeCruz. I'm at 9 Sarah Drive in Unionville. And I just want to go on record against the project for environmental and health reasons. And I did like what the previous speaker said about using existing brownfields or properties that have environmental impacts and not taking a pristine piece of land. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Denise Ortiz. I am a New Britain resident at 139 Country Club Road. I just wrote a few things here, but I know some of the things have been spoken about already, so I'll just try to eyeball my notes. First, I want to thank you, Commission, for taking your time and doing this on your time and the public service that you provide. I want to level set though, because before coming into this, I didn't know much and I don't like speaking in front of people, as you can tell. But under Connecticut law, the commission, under Connecticut law 22A36, it recognizes inland wetlands and watercourses as indispensable but fragile natural resources. The statute specifically connects wetlands and watercourses to water quality, flood control, erosion, groundwater recharge, things we talked about, aquatic life, vernal pools. What we have not talked about is animal wildlife. And that's something that this commission is also responsible to address as far as the applicant's information. The other thing that we haven't talked about much, but people have addressed, and I'm so grateful for the residents for coming out, is public health and safety and welfare. So again, I want to mention the statutes 22A36 through 22A45 as something people should go look at and reference as what the commissions are tasked with. I also want to reference Connecticut's Municipal Inland Wetland Agency Comprehensive Training Program. Sorry, I get nervous. I don't know why. So that was developed by DEEP, and a current Public Act 2573 now requires agency members and all staff serving to take this training. And I want to, I guess, make sure that everybody on this board, on this commission, has done that training. I encourage everybody to look through that training. It's free and available to the public, and it lets you know what they know or should know, right? And I encourage you too, Mr. Frisbee, to take that training. We've addressed a lot of the things here, the diesel fueling, the trucks, the public health around New Britain. This adversely affects New Britain We have 76,000 residents and a population density of about 5,500 people per square mile. It includes vulnerable and elderly, including children and people with disabilities. Just in that neighborhood, within 500 feet, within half a mile, there's several group homes of people with disabilities that would be adversely impacted. And there are large environmental justice issues with that. And I'm going to provide written public comment because I'm much better in writing. I also want to bring up with respect to wildlife, that the commission require site-specific wildlife and nesting bird review before any clearance or disturbance. The Migratory Bird Treaty Act is implemented through federal regulations at 50 CFR Part 21. It addresses migratory bird permits and protection involving migratory birds, nests, and eggs. Bald eagles, which I'm sure if you're in the neighborhood, you have seen tons of them. They are there. And this treaty applies to them among many other kinds of, red-winged blackbirds and backyard birds. So those can't be moved or disturbed. You can't just knock them down without a permit. That is a federal regulation. And I think that's something that hasn't really been talked about here. So I really think it's important that we recognize that. Let's see. Also, I know you said this is not a truck stop. From what I have read, there is no legal differentiation between travel center and truck stop. The difference is in the operational function. A travel center does not have an 18,500 square foot warehouse that is leased out to God knows who. That is the size of almost 4 basketball courts. It's not insignificant, and it's not just a travel center like the one in Enfield or East Lyme. This is largely different and largely impacts a different community. Under the whole truck stop theme, I think it's important to recognize that the Department of Transportation knows truck stops to be areas of opportunity for drug trafficking, human trafficking, and prostitution. There are truckers against trafficking. There's organizations. There has been no mention of how any safety issues around that would be addressed. And again, I think this falls under the purview and responsibility of this commission because it does connect with public health, which is tied directly to the Connecticut General Statute that empowers you to be here. So I think there's a long way to go and lots of information to provide before any of this would be approved, which I strongly oppose for the record. It's not that the truckers don't have the need, Mr. Frisbee. It's that this is a highly inappropriate place for this. There are, and it says in the statute as well, there are other viable options. Doesn't need to be here. I strongly request that you reconsider your application.
Your comments should be to the commission.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm new to this, but it won't be my last time. So I just want to say in closing, I respectfully ask that the commission apply the purpose of the Connecticut General Statute 22A36 through 22A45 and your responsibility under 22A42 to review the factors and the principles reflected in the required municipal wetlands training and your role. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is that? Okay, I think we have every. Didn't you already speak? No, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. Yes. We got that. Okay,
Chair.
Oh, one more hand. Mr. Go ahead, John. Sure, yes, go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman and the commission. I'm John McNamara. I'm a city councilman from Ward 4 in New Britain, which includes Batterson Park area and near Slater Road. And first of all, I visited a travel center in Hartford. It's a very well-run business. I don't doubt that. But I can let you know that on the New Britain side, there is a groundswell of concern that you've heard a little bit from folks tonight about the both the environmental impact and the social impact possibly on the neighborhood that is beyond your purview. So from what I've heard tonight, despite plans to redesign, I'm not sure there's any way to mitigate these concerns. So just to let you know, there is a growing concern about it in New Britain. Thanks for letting me speak.
Thank you. All right, so that's it for here. Oh. You already spoke once, sir. No. Oh, you didn't speak? Oh, okay, she did. All right. All right.
Hi, my name is Dennis Talmont. I live at 55 Batterson Drive in Britain, Connecticut. And my question is, the applicant did not come initially with the best possible practice. They will only do what they are forced to do. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. There was one point that was made a couple of times, and I would ask the applicant to make sure that's answered. Is your experience with the jellyfish filter and where it's been used successfully, if that can be provided. Thank you. All right, so we move on to people online.
All right, Chair, I do have two with their hands raised for anybody else. Oh, and that was all you needed. They're lighting up now. So anyone else, just use the Zoom function to raise your hand. We'll start with a Marcus Fairbrother. You can go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. Marcus Fairbrother. I live at 12 Candlewood Lane in Farmington. So I live absolutely nowhere near this. It does not impact my property, does not impact me directly, but it does impact the community, and that is a concern of mine. So I do oppose this proposal. There are a lot of reasons to oppose it, and there are a lot of reasons I do, but I'll just focus on two real quick. One is the loss of habitat for wildlife. I know it's a little bit, but every little bit adds up. We already have a bear problem in this town, primarily because we're taking away their homes, and so they're wandering through our neighborhoods. This isn't going to help that whatsoever. Another problem I have is that it is problematically too close to Batterson Park Pond, and the potential for a public health hazard from this development into that area is significant. So for those two reasons and others, I do oppose this. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is Amy Watson. Unmute yourself. Amy, there you go. Can you speak? We don't. All right, if you hold on.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, there you go. We got you.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Amy Watson. I reside at 7 Fairview Drive in Farmington, and I would just like to reiterate the concerns of the community. I'm in opposition of this business because of its effect on the environment, the habitat, the community, and the amount of traffic it will bring in. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rafina Batchesley.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you to the commission members for your time, your service to our town, and for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Rafina Backesley, and I live at 3 Hamilton Way. I'm calling in today in opposition to the Noble Energy project. If approved, this massive project will have a significant adverse impact on the environment, biodiversity, and will continue to imperil the quality of the environment and the lives of Farmington and New Britain residents. You've heard several comments, so I'll keep it very brief. While it's admirable that Noble Energy is willing to make changes to their proposal, the changes that I heard tonight would not mitigate the impacts of this regulated activity and also would not prevent or minimize pollution or other environmental damage. This project would still disrupt the vernal pools and the habitats that depend on this area. On a personal note, I live near Batterson Park Pond, and I'm concerned about the air, noise, and water pollution. As actually two other comments that were made earlier tonight, after years of neglect, Batterson Park is now ready to reopen, I'm hoping this summer. However, no swimming is allowed because the pond could not be remediated for swimming. Had something been done years before this regarding drainage and pollutants, perhaps we wouldn't be in this position today. To co-opt the statement of the intervener who spoke earlier, let's not miss the bigger picture and make the same mistakes again. I'm also concerned about the increased traffic that this proposal would create. Has a traffic study been completed? I wonder. I'm not sure that it has. Currently, this end of Finneman Road is the only thoroughfare where you're not sitting in traffic. This project will likely change that. It sometimes takes me 30 minutes to get to the high school from where I live. Please don't approve a project that will increase residents' travel time during their daily commute. I urge you to reject the Noble Energy proposal. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone, if anyone else would like to speak, please raise your hand using the Zoom function. Going once, twice, 3 times. All right, Chair, that's it.
Okay. Okay, well, we know we have additional material that's going to be presented. So I will entertain a motion to postpone to, should we go to June 17th or just to the next meeting?
No, I think the June 3rd, right? We're still looking for the June 3rd.
All right.
Yeah.
June 3rd. Okay. That's right. To close, motion to close the
continue
to June 3rd.
So moved.
I will have to continue the intervener as well. So I'll make sure both are done.
All right. Okay. Yeah. And a second, please.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to continue the public hearing for the application to June 3rd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, now I will entertain a motion to continue the intervener's petition until June 3rd.
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second, Mark.
All right, motion been made and seconded to continue the intervener petition until June 3rd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we'll go back to Byron Rodriguez.
How you doing?
How you doing?
all right.
Just let him bring up the
Yep, give me a second.
plan view. Okay.
Hold on, can we?
All right, let's take the meeting outside, please.
Excuse us, we're trying to.
We got a
move the
meeting
next one.
going on here. Thank you. Okay, your application has been, rather, we've been, well, I'm gonna get myself on track here.
We had the site walk, and then we did our, so I think at this point, we were talking about the driveway. As
We're-
well as a
Is
schedule.
there gonna be an additional, like an updated plan, or we're just going by the same plan?
No, we're going by the same plan.
Okay.
I think the questions that we had, based on the previous meeting as well as the site walk was the driveway. We were talking about that, how that was gonna be pitched, and then we wanted to talk about a schedule for the replanting of any of those plants that were from the previous approval.
All right, have you been in contact with the soil science?
I talked to George and he told me that the best planning time is at the end of September.
Okay.
Is that for everything or is it a phased approach?
Yeah, it's gonna
Sorry.
say some things are planted at different schedules.
Yeah, there was different phases the last time. So was George saying everything?
He said the best time that is gonna show affection is in September, because right now, if you plant them now, the heat and everything is gonna kill what you're gonna plant, because it's too late. You gotta plant in September.
Okay.
Chair, if you don't mind if I just jump in
Go
here. Yeah, I remember last time there was question of the stock. So some of the wetland stock is not available. You've got to call that in and order that very early in the spring. And it may not be available in the fall. So I would probably recommend that we get something from Mr. Logan explaining this, that they can do everything. I'd like to confirm everything can be done in the fall, and it's not something that's going to be fall and then carry over into the spring of 20.
So, can you have George provide like a schedule of and also a purchase order of the plants? So, and with some assurance on when delivery time can be, since we did have problems with the availability last time.
Yeah, I'll go call the same place that we purchased everything the last time and just purchase the order again and everything. And I'll just talk to George exactly when we could plant it. I just want to start building the house now, which is hot and everything. We could take advantage of it.
And did you understand the discussion we had about how we want to, you're gonna have to slope the driveway?
Yes.
Okay, and so well, we'll put that item down to work with the town staff on the driveway expansion and slope. Is that okay, Bruce?
So what was that about the driveway? You're talking about the slope?
We'll put in a stipulation that for the driveway expansion and slope, that you work with town staff to make sure that the grade is
I think the commission wanted it out towards the road and not like
Yeah.
into the
Or
wetlands.
yeah, not
Is that
drain
correct?
directly into the waterway adjacent to it. You understand? So
Yes.
The water to run down the driveway and into the road.
Yes.
Okay.
Go down the driveway.
All right, so as early as possible, trying let's work with the town, get on like the purchase order, evidence of the purchase order to the town staff. And a plan for our time of the plantings.
Yes, no
Work that
problem.
out with George and the availability of stock.
All right, I'll go buy the stuff this week.
Well, you don't have to buy it this week. You just need to make sure it's ordered and will be available when you order. I mean, I don't want you to buy anything and have it die on you, but
No, that's what I'm saying.
you need
That
to have a plan so that the town knows that we're working towards the restoration area.
all right, no problem.
Okay. We'll see if let's ask the commission if anybody has any questions. Because we have to determine significance. So I'll pull the commission if you have any questions and if you think this is significant. Rich?
I don't have any questions on that, and I don't think that we need a public hearing on this application.
Robert?
I concur. It's a non-significant regulated activity.
All right. Dave?
I concur with that too. I did have maybe it's an off the wall question about the driveway though. It seemed that there would be quite a bit of fill put in there and extend towards the wetland in order to make sure that everything would drain down to the road. What if a curb was put along the edge of the driveway? You wouldn't need as much fill to accomplish pretty much the same thing.
I think you would need more because that would actually raise the driveway 6 inches higher, and then you'd have to backfill over.
Okay.
So, all right.
Just a thought.
No, understood. I mean,
Thank
we
you.
can put the curb. What I can do is I can work with him. If the grading doesn't work where we can't get it to, where we can't sufficiently get it to go to the road, we can put a curb there. That'll help push the water down towards the road.
Yeah.
Does that help more? I think we can probably do that.
Yeah.
What about a French drain on that edge?
I don't know about a French drain. It's kind of steep. It may not, it may just run right off the driveway and just go over that French drain during a higher rainstorm right into the wetland. So,
okay. All right. Frank?
No questions and non-significant.
Alana?
No questions and not significant.
Okay. So Chair will entertain a motion.
Excuse me, one more.
Mark Simpson.
Hey, I'm out of sight, out of mind, right?
All right.
Non-significant, and I have one question for the applicant. I understand planting right now would not be beneficial. If you start doing the house shortly, will you have access to water? Will the house have water access, say in the fall when you want to do these plantings, or is that not going to be happening?
Yes, once they do the foundation and everything, and they start building, they could get the water before the fall.
All right, so you'll have access to water, but I have no problems waiting to the fall because it's probably a better growing season. And if worst comes to worst, I think in the minutes there, Bruce, you said something about bonding to make sure the project is completed. Is that something that the town is going to require?
that was in the previous application or the previous approval at that time, and that was the house was already done at that point. So what I mentioned a little bit earlier was that he's building practically a brand new house. So what we can do is we can hold the house certificate of occupancy as a fund, and if the plantings are not done, or if what I can do is I can come back to the commission at some point and say, look, the plantings are done. However, I think we should hold a bond because they're brand new and we want to make sure they're going to survive at least 1 or 2 seasons. So we can do that.
I see no reason why this can't go forward. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion that this is not a significant use.
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
All right, motion been made and seconded that this is not significant. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Okay, so we're gonna have a stipulation that that he gets you a purchase order and a planting plan. And that.
Well, we have the plan, so a schedule. I think,
All right,
right?
yeah, that's
A schedule, right?
A schedule, I should say.
Yep.
Purchase order and a schedule. And that we're gonna hold this for a couple seasons, right? Or to at least.
Well, like I said,
in the
I think
next year,
depending on
at least a year.
where we stand with this,
Okay.
and I can then come back to the commission, we'll say in the fall and say, hey, look, the plantings are done. We can review it at that point, and then I think we can decide where we want to go from that.
Well, it's a fall planting, so you never know. I mean, I would think we'd at least gonna wait till I'll hold it a year and
Okay. So
Yeah.
if you want to do at least a bond, well, a bond for a year? Well,
Yes.
we have the 3-year planting. We usually do the 3-year planting reports, where they come back to us. First year planting season is year one.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
There's
about.
2 more. Oh, I thought you said a bond. I apologize.
Oh, no, I don't need a bond for that. I
Right,
just need
okay.
that he's bound for the
Yeah, we'll do the
to
3-year.
follow the planting plan, the schedule, and that he understands that he has to replace things that died and.
Okay. Yep.
Okay,
In the monitoring.
yeah, monitored. Okay. So,
And then I had some of the 2002 conditions on the agenda review. If you don't mind, I'd like to, if we can, include those as part of it to enforce those and have it all in one.
the conditions from 2022
Yes.
approval?
Yep.
We can incorporate those here in this approval.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I do think it's good to reiterate the need for conservation easement and work to be conducted and overseen by the professional George Logan or replacement. And to be done as soon as possible, recognize it will be prior to the certificate of occupancy.
Okay. All right, I'm good. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the applications with the said agreement on the purchase and schedule of plants and the 2022 approval stipulations, and to work with town staff on the best driveway grade for that situation.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. And a second?
Second.
All right, made and seconded. To approve the application as stipulated. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. That's it. Okay. Next public hearing. JBS Developers. Thank you for your patience. Absolutely.
Should I read the notice?
Oh, yes, we're gonna read the notice.
Town of Farmington Inland Wetlands Commission. Notice is hereby given that the Inland Wetlands Commission will hold a hybrid in-person and online public hearing on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026 at 7 PM in the Town Hall Annex, 1 Monteith Drive, Council Chambers on the following application. JBS Developers LLC application for regulated activity within a wetland upland review area for a proposed construction of 18 housing units, a detention basin, roadway and grading at 598 Plainville Avenue. Interested parties are encouraged to participate in this hybrid public hearing. Participation in person is at 1 Monteith Drive, Town Hall Annex, Town Council Chambers, or online participation is via the link to the meeting on the Town of Farmington's website. A copy of this proposal is also online at the Town of Farmington's website.
or please call the Planning Department at Farmington Town Hall at 860-675-2325. Dated at February, Connecticut, this 30th day of April, 2026. Inland Wetlands Commission, Ned Stachin, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, applicant can give your presentation, name and address.
For the record, Brian Panico with Cole Civil Survey, here representing the applicant. Give you a brief overview, just because now we're in the public hearing stage, so anybody who may not fully understand the project. This is a R40 zone parcel. It's 11.6 acres. It's currently one house, which has a house, barn, outbuildings on the property. The eastern half of the parcel is cleared open fields, was farmland at one point. The western half, which contains the wetlands, is mostly wooded. The residential Tambark Trail is to the north. West, northwest, and southwest is open space, which is owned by the town of Farmington. And to the south is Autumn Estates. And Plainville Avenue, obviously our access is to the east. Currently, the whole site slopes from east to west, from Plainville Avenue down eventually to the wetlands. And there are 1.52 acres of wetlands up in the on the property. There's also a wetland that runs along the north of this property, comes from a culvert, sits in the northeast corner, goes off-site, and then comes back on-site to join the majority of the wetland. We are proposing an active adult community, single-family, freestanding houses, 4.1 acres of open space, which would connect to the town open space. All of the existing outbuildings, house, barn, everything would be removed for the construction of this development. Public water and sewer would be utilized. Currently, the site has easement for the town sewer that runs through the center of it, which is now in our cul-de-sac, our proposed cul-de-sac. There are 6.26 acres of upland review area on the site. You can see from this map, that would be the blue dashed line on the map. Wetlands is outlined in the orange. We have 3.7 acres of upland review impact for the development, although 1.2 acres of that is new upland disturbance. Obviously, you can see that a lot of the site with the farming activity and the previous activities was already disturbed that upland review area. Go to the next iteration there. So here you can see we've highlighted the houses in the purple and kind of just outlined our tree clearing limits in the wetlands over the existing conditions, just so you can see kind of how much of what we're proposing, all the work that we're proposing is in the already disturbed area versus in the upland area that's not disturbed. Next slide there. Next one. Yeah. And again, just another iteration without that background to make it a little clearer to see the houses and the cul-de-sac and the detention basins. What we've proposed from a storm drainage perspective for this project. Sorry, I feel like I'm trying to figure out what we've already talked about, but just go through everything. From a storm drainage perspective, the site, we did soil testing following our original site walk that dictated there was some more wetland out there. Did some additional soil testing to check for where groundwater elevations were. Typically, we design all the houses to have their own individual roof leader collection systems. What we determined was that based on where the wetlands are and the soil locations, the groundwater locations, feasibility of individual infiltration systems for each individual unit wouldn't be practical or feasible in some instances. So what we did was we kind of grouped those together and put as many of those roofs together and into underground systems as we could in the soils that had the best infiltration capability and capacity. We also took a look at the detention basin, modified it from our original design to make it a little bit larger, but much more shallow of a detention basin. And most currently updated our stormwater management report to reflect the proper sizing, the 4-bay system that we had designed. So the whole cul-de-sac is collected in catch basins, drains to a kind of pre-treatment small basin. And then that small basin, once it fills up with water, would overflow through a riprap spillway down to the larger basin. That smaller basin obviously providing some water quality, but mostly just pre-treating any of that road runoff. And then the much larger basin providing the multitude of the water quality for the actual development as a whole. Some of the units themselves that we could not get underground infiltration systems to work with the soil conditions, we pipe directly to the drainage system. So that would go into that detention basin. Ultimately, any water overflow and everything from this site that is draining off of this site gets intercepted by one of those two basins before it has a chance to reach the wetland. I think that is the overall bulk of our project and our presentation. I'd be happy to answer any commission questions and or public questions.
Okay. Are there any questions from the commission? Oh,
no questions. Thank you.
Okay, Robert,
No questions.
Dave.
I noticed that the fence behind Unit 1 it said that it was going to have signs on it that it's wetlands. Wouldn't it be a conservation easement or?
We could potentially put it into a conservation easement if that's what you would prefer. But we did want to delineate it regardless as being a wetland area.
I don't know how the town feels about.
That could be either, yeah, we could do an easement. It's a little, could wrap it with a fence, maybe, with like a split rail fence, something like that to better define it.
Yeah, I think the plan is for a split rail fence,
Exactly.
but the sign would be for wetlands. It seems like maybe it's a better sign to have conservation easement.
We could definitely do that, I wouldn't be opposed.
Okay.
It is a smaller wetland. They're a little harder to manage with those encroachments because of that. They're little pockets that people like to expand when they buy their houses. But yeah, we can, as long as it's wrapped with that the split rail fence as much as possible, and then put the sign on the split rail fence.
Oh, and I guess that raises another question I had. Is the groundskeeping for this going to be done by the individual units or by
No, I believe since it's going to be one community. There's a bunch of different parts of this that are community based. So like those underground infiltration systems, those would require maintenance. That would be community based. That's multiple units.
Well, at least it's better you have an institution that knows.
Yeah, and I think that also the split rail fence and whatnot really, I think is the biggest part that's going to delineate, like you can't extend past this point. So,
okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Frank?
The road is a private road, so it'll be maintained by the association.
Yes. Yep.
No other question.
Lana?
No questions.
I know these are up to city sewer and water, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And you're open to having a conservation easement in the corner?
Yeah, I don't believe the applicant have any objection to that.
And what's the conservation easement border going to be on the back property past the retention? We usually put those low grade signposts or?
Yep, we have the blue we have the blue, medallions that we could either use, existing trees and or, 4x4 pressure treated pipes or posts or a combination of all.
Okay.
Right.
All right, I know that the town staff was gonna put together a formal approval, or denial, for us. But, next stage we'll go on. Is there anybody here from the public that would like to speak? Go ahead. Can you go to the mic and give your name, please?
Ted Johnson, 3 Hazelnut Drive in the Autumn Estates. Could you put that whole thing so I could see the whole picture?
This right here, or I'm not understanding.
So this whole thing, this is gonna drain, all the water is gonna go to the back of the property? And then what? Then just leach into the wetlands? Okay. As a resident, I'm not concerned. I'm just questioning, like, what's the grade? Is there water from these lawns and stuff going to come down and onto the Autumn Estates?
Well, there is a retention pond at the end of the project.
Right.
We'll go
right.
with that.
Right, but there's 18 homes, and I mean, are they draining towards our property? There's a big.
We'll let him explain a little.
Yeah. Okay. Where's the general topography going to go?
So if you look, we also have a small proposal all along up in that edge, and that forces that water down into that. Okay.
And these are individually owned homes. Are they going to be like a plan B?
I think it's
So they'll be maintained by one person. So it's going to be a berm with that green line in place.
so the green line indicated on this map is the proposed green line limits, and then it would be effectively a berm just because of the green. So if the existing grade at the tree line, let the grade down the northern portion to create this one.
Northern, but what about the southern? You said
so the existing grade at the tree line, obviously, so we're not clearing anything.
So that'll be higher.
And if you lower it, and as you work closer, come back up, and that's what creates that.
Because I am sorry. What's
Make sure you're using the microphone because this doesn't.
What's the blue line represent? What does the blue line represent? The dotted blue line?
This one here?
Yeah, it's running right through the property. Just because I don't know.
Upland review area.
Yes. Yeah, that's the upland review area. There's 150 foot
feet distance from the wetland, the actual wetland. And then everything that's within 150 feet of that is under our purview. And that's why they mark off that line, that blue dotted line.
So that's 150 feet from the wetlands,
Yes.
that dotted line. Okay. Another question for you. Have they done other developments in this area? The builder? Which ones? Is it the Tanbar Kennels?
Yeah, direct your questions.
Tanbar Kennels.
Chair, please.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Tanbar Kennels.
Tanbar Kennels is the same builder? Okay. I was just curious about that, just to find out. All right. I guess. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here who would like to speak on this? Okay. Do you have anything to add or?
Just to clarify, Tambark Trail, that development directly to the north of this was done by the same.
Okay.
Is there anyone online who would like to speak?
Oh, yeah.
Someone's online. I'll double check again. Last time. Everybody kind of faded off. Nope. If anyone's
Get off
online,
easier than Noble.
if anyone's online that would like to speak, please raise their hand.
Again,
Quick
this is,
question.
yeah, it's a quick question. The dark line going down, is that a drain? Is that a drain going all the way down to, and then there's a drains on the opposite side of the road that are draining in and then going down into the wetlands? Okay. So basically it's hoping it's gonna go all right down there.
Yeah, so to clarify, the road is crowned, so there are catch basins on either side. Those will collect all the runoff from the road, it discharges to that kind of pretreatment basin we talked about, which ultimately overflows to the main basin and then ultimately gets to the well.
Ted Johnson,
Last
3
one,
Hazelnut, back again. I thought I heard him say there's a little drain, catch drain there, and then there's a big catch drain, right? That's, and what you're pointing to there, is that some way to give it, control the flow of that drain? Control the flow of that drain from that little pond to the big pond? Is that what that is?
It is.
Ooh, you all right, sir? Okay, hold on.
Take your time. Just sit on the bench. Sit on the bench. Have a seat. Repeat your head. Face, you think, yeah.
Oh, sorry about
You're fine. No problem. No problem. Let's see for a while.
And what I'm looking at is the little pond there, and then there's this.
Whoa.
Yeah, sit down.
I'm just wondering what this is. Is this where
That the stone.
that's gonna drain down into that?
It's a stone overflow for that smaller
Okay,
depression.
That's what I want.
So if water starts flowing out of this, the stone prevents a gully from forming.
Yeah, and keeps the water directed to that larger basin.
All right, yeah, take your time. Don't just stay there for a few minutes.
One other question about the sewer. Is the sewer line coming into the auto? Is this a mic?
Yep.
Is the sewer line coming from their property, coming and joining in? To a sewer line in our property?
So the sewer line for this project would connect to the town sewer system, which runs through both properties, correct?
Now, with all the development of Tanbark and this and Autumn Estates and the property below it, the Farmington West Estates, are the sewer is going to be able to handle all of this?
The sewer should have
Yes.
adequate capacity.
It should be sufficient?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. That was one of my main questions. Okay, I'm done.
All right.
I think I better.
Take your time.
Yeah.
Have a seat.
Stay there as long.
Have a seat and till the end of the meeting.
You're right.
We'll walk out with you.
Get my head together.
Okay. All right, so we can close the public hearing. Or do we
No.
need to?
No, we can't because it's the Conservation Commission. Same thing as NOAA. We got to go to the Conservation
Okay.
Commission and then refer it back. So
Okay. All right, so Chair,
Continue.
entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to June 3rd.
So moved.
Second, Mark.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
abstain. All right, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
You need us to call medical services for you or anything?
Why don't you have a seat? Just wait for a little while, all right?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm gonna get to a chair.
Yeah.
There's not much to the meeting, so why don't you wait and somebody will walk out with you. All right? Okay. Thank you. All right, so we've continued to June 3rd.
Mhm.
The planners report.
All right, planners report, 114 West Avon Road. They were ready to submit. However, I asked them if they would please not submit for this meeting because I knew it was going to be a long meeting. So unfortunately, I thought we were going to end it. So we were trying to kick them out. So depending on our agenda for next meeting, I may just talk to see if we can either put it on for there or put it after. They're checking into the plantings and the weather. And then we'll go from there. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I got one other item, if you don't mind. It popped up during a discussion that we were having. Get over here again. Give me 1 second to load it up. There was a sign application that came in to planning and zoning. All right. And as part of that, it's in the upland review area. So I wanted to chat with the commission under planners report and get their thoughts on whether an application would be required or not. So let me get over there. It's for Burke Aerospace. So we've got Spring Lane here, Hyde Road is here, and Johnson, or not Johnson, Liebinger Way is here. So Trump and EBM are all right over here. So Burke Aerospace is down in the back here. There's a very long driveway.
Yep.
The sign right now is in the town right away. All right.
Uh-oh.
So as part of that, they need to kick it back into the in the property. So this is all wetlands here. Okay. And this is lawn up along the back of the curb. I do have some pictures I took.
Are they using the same sign or are they building a
No,
bigger sign?
it's a brand new sign. It's gonna be two posts. All right, give me 1 second. I'll load that up too. All right, here we go. So here's where the existing sign is right now. So it would have to be pulled back into this area here. Okay, in this lawn area. So there it is now, pulling it back up into this upper end here.
Okay.
I've told them is, they're now looking at it to see where it's going to go, because if it pulls back, they're a little concerned. So the question here to the commission is, if they stay in the lawn area and don't do any tree clearing, would you want an upland review or an application? The sign is, I'll go back to the sign. This is it here. Boy, this is a little slow. What is this Finman Road plan? Is all right, hold on. This Noble plan throws it all up. Go. So it's two foundations, 1 foot by 1 foot by 3 foot 9 deep. So it's two concrete foundations, 12 by 12. So if you go back to the pictures, it would have to be somewhere up in here. All right,
Okay,
by the end of this tape measure, so somewhere up in here.
okay,
So if they keep it up here, don't do any tree trimming or
yeah.
clearing, would the commission be okay with with the staff just handling it as is, or
I think the staff can handle that. If they're gonna stay within the grassy area.
Okay.
I think that, how does the rest of the commission feel?
I concur.
Well,
Sounds
I'm
good.
kind of afraid that they're gonna put a sign there and then nobody's gonna be able to see it because of the vegetation.
well, they can't, because it's funny that you say that, because when you come through here, this sight line, this road turns, the bend on this road is so bad. They've, there's been some maintaining of this clearing here for a while. So they really can't go without clearing the wetlands. There's no way you're going to improve that sight line anymore. So we've kicked it back to them, and it's a very difficult driveway. So there's not many options to do it. So they're going to come back to us, but I mean, as long as we're on the same page and with staff, that if they put it in, there's no tree clearing, we'll put some erosion control in, and we'll take care of all that as long as we don't need an application. If they come back to me and say, look, we're doing something much larger, then I'm going to kick them into an application and definitely send it to you guys. So
Yeah, that's reasonable.
I just don't want to see us 6 months down the road here that, the sign goes in and, oh gee, we can't see the sign, and somebody goes clearing.
Yeah.
And then we got a violation.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, we've got to get it out of the right of way, because we can't have it in the right of way because it becomes a liability issue with us if something gets it. So
I'm surprised that
It
sign.
looks like it was a temporary
taken out
sign
of
or
the
something.
files.
well, it's an old sign. It's been it's
Oh.
been going over hands a few times, and it's an old metal sign, and here it's only got one little I-beam stuck in the ground. It's just some old metal
So-
panels, and that's like a vinyl wrap on it, because they changed their name like 6 months ago or something. So it's a temporary vinyl wrap around it.
So are they keeping the same design of the sign, or?
No, it's different. It's right here. This is the design here. So it's going to have these two foundations. Shut this down here and then zoom in a little bit. So it's going to have these two foundations with a support with a with a faux stone in this larger panel here. So 3 foot by almost 6 feet, 5'8".
Okay.
Are we good, you think?
Printed on both sides?
Yep.
Okay.
And is TPZ okay with that?
Not yet. It's going to TPZ, but I don't want it to go to TPZ if you guys don't look at it first. I don't want them to kick it out and say you got to go to wetlands. So if we've had this
Yeah,
conversation.
if they're in the grass area, I think town staff can handle it.
All right.
Okay,
And the only other thing I want to go over quickly, if you don't mind, and if they had gone, unfortunately, but we talked a little bit about the Noble application. So we're continuous to June 3rd. Okay. So it's hopefully, we'll see if it can get closed or not. I've had long discussions with the town attorney. So the town attorney will be available for either June 3rd or June 17th. All right. So I want to have him either here or call in case the commission has some last minute questions for a procedural item or not. So the intention is that we're going to develop a written, not a policy, or a written sequence of how this has to go in terms of voting on the intervener. All right. And then actually voting on the application. All right. So there is going to be a little bit of a sequence with that. So he'll be there. He'll be here for that if the commission has any questions or concerns, but I'll have that procedure done. They'll review, we're going to review it. They're going to review it. And then we'll get that out to everybody. So that they can read right through it. And also I want, if the commission doesn't mind, start thinking now about thoughts that you would have for some kind of provisions for a resolution. My thought is if we close it on the 3rd, right? We're not going to vote on the 3rd. We're going to at least vote the earliest we'll be able to vote is the 17th. So I'd like to be able to have a resolution sent over to you guys early enough that you guys can review it. And I want to include as many of your comments and thoughts in there as possible. And then I'll send it out to everybody, and then they could comment that take this out or put this in, add this, I want to do this, just like we've done in the past. So start thinking about those, because once we close the hearing, I'm going to definitely want to start getting some input.
Yeah, so just somebody, after we close the hearing, no new information can come in. So you can't ask a question you haven't asked yet or anything
Exactly.
like
So
that.
for any of the newer people, once we close it, there's no more questions to the applicant, asking them to submit something or nothing. It's all just
discussion amongst ourselves.
So, all right. And I've also uploaded the intervener state statutes onto the SharePoint. So that's on there. That's the 22A-19. So it's very short. Read it quick, understand what we're doing, how this is working. All right. And I think that's it. And if anyone who hasn't missed a meeting, make sure you follow up with going through the minutes and watching that meeting, so you guys are up to speed. And then we'll get that on the record. Okay.
On that point, I didn't attend for JBS developers. I didn't attend the sidewalk on March 15th, but I attended the sidewalk from the first time the application went through. I mean,
No, you don't have to attend the site walk. The site walks and you don't have to attend it. I mean, you said on the record that you were at the first one anyway, so you've saw the site.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All set with the planner's report?
That's it.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of May 6th Inland Wetlands Commission.
So moved.
Second, Mark.
Okay, motion made and second to approve the minutes of May 6th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes. So we will close the Inland Wetlands Commission meeting at 9:54. And open the Conservation Commission at 9:54. Because we're that efficient. All right, call the meeting to order. Any planners report?
No, but what I did realize, and unfortunately I did forget to put this application on the agenda
Oh,
for
so-
conservation. So we can technically vote to add it on the agenda if we want, or wait till next meeting and discuss it at that. But unfortunately, that would kick out JSB to two more
Yeah,
meetings.
no, you're talking about the thing where we have to make a recommendation,
Yes,
the Conservation Commission. You're gonna fix that this year, right?
yes, I am, sir. Chair, I will take care of that.
Okay.
So if anyone's ready to vote, if they feel them, we can definitely do that. But or even to discuss it, we have to add it on the agenda.
Okay.
Bruce, is that a problem for notice?
No, because it's not a
Not
public
public.
hearing.
It
It's not
does not,
public
yeah.
hearing.
The Conservation Commission isn't a public hearing.
Yeah. Oh, and it's just
We're just, I forget how the recommendation is that we forward to the Inland Wetlands Commission the report or
yes, you're forwarding a report, a referral to the inland wetlands from conservation. Commissioner Eisner is always great at those.
Go ahead. Chair will entertain a
Well,
motion.
we got to vote to add it to the agenda if you want.
Oh, all right. Chair will entertain a motion to add to the commission, Conservation Commission agenda, an item to forward the application for,
Well, we're just gonna vote to add JBS to the agenda. So we'll do that first, then we have to make, then
Chair will
then you
entertain a
discuss it.
motion to add JBS to the agenda for the Conservation Commission?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain.
Now you can talk about it. So.
All right. So now, Chair will entertain a motion to have the Conservation Commission forward and say it again.
What's that?
The chair will entertain a motion to, for the conservation to forward to the Inland Wetlands Commission a recommendation.
Yeah, referral.
A referral.
You're referring a recommendation to the council or to the, to the commission regarding, the conservation easement, the wetlands, suggest the conservation easement behind lot one.
Yeah, I think that makes sense of like what we talked about today with putting a conservation easement on that wetland.
Yeah. Okay. So I need a motion for the Conservation Commission to send a referral of all the applicants' information to the Inland Wetlands Commission.
Yes.
Including the conservation.
Conservation.
for
Yes.
wetland.
You're including the conservation easement behind lot
Yep.
one.
Okay,
So moved.
so moved. All right, and the second, please.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. All right, now we just need a motion to approve the minutes of May 6th.
So moved.
All right, motion and a second,
Second.
please. Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of May 6th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn the Conservation Commission. Or I could just do that. I adjourn the Conservation Commission at 9:58.